So Barry, when you say the soul and the spirit, they're two different things. What
Hmm.
what exactly do you mean by that? Because I've always equated them with the same thing, really.
Hmm. The soul itself, from what I can make out in the research I've been doing in this, is that the soul's responsibility was to make sure that the Trinity stayed safe. The body survived as long as possible. All the seat of our psychic abilities comes from the soul, and the soul will also muster our needs, wants, its base root instincts, sexual desires, and deviances will all emanate from this particular animalistic version of us. Mm-mm. Again, that gets complicated, but for now, we'll just leave it at that. Whereas the spirit, um, the spirit is here. It's very experiential, and a totally different kettle of fish altogether. Um, but yeah, separately two different things.
Mhm.
But the return, when the soul returns, we go back and we start looking at the ancient customs, Nordic customs across from the Fertile Crescent and Syria and places like that. We get those customs traveling across Europe. They traveled east to west. They followed the sun, and in particular, we find aspects of that soul recognition within the mound builders, the ancient mound builders. Now, the mound builders we can push back. We can track them back through the historical record till around 6000 BC. After that, we're lost. We don't have any written context of that after that. But where you've got the Ubidians in northern Iraq, that is where it finally ends in our historical sleuth investigation, if you like, to go back into time. That's where we can get to, and within the mounds there, we find these uh, um, statues of creatures which I can only describe as they're like a mixture of dogmen and reptilians. Yet one of the reptilians is breastfeeding, so that goes against what we tend to know of what a reptile does. Never mind the fact that they're bipedal. But the archaeologists have identified that these statues they're not dolls, they're not toys. They're a representation of something, and it was connected with the mounds.
Mhm.
So when we move forward and come into Northern Europe, we see this track of the mound builders making their way through Western Europe, and especially up into the Nordic countries. That's where we see this crisscross of the death cult and the Nordic death cult, ancestral worship, and also this aspect of the serpent worship, which is ingrained with sun worship. But with these mounds, the ancients, they would have brought the deceased to the mound. By that stage, the spirit was gone, but what lingered was the soul, and it could linger from 2 days to 2 weeks. But it was brought to the mound, and the mound tended to be in these remote areas, and sometimes there were islands, and the body was left on the island. And when, according to the Nordic death cults, when the soul broke free, it went through a state of metempsychosis. It changed its appearance, and altered and changed into a serpent, and then progressed its way back into this mound. And that in itself was the doorway to this other place, the void, if you like.